Okay, in this video, I am going to give you an overview, step-by-step process of our service process and how we handle incoming phone calls of clients. So when a client calls in this case, it was Minnie Mouse that called in. You can search their name up here. Yeah, I'd be happy to help you. Can I get your name? My name's Minnie Mouse. All right, type in Minnie Mouse and we come here to the summary page for Minnie Mouse. Minnie Mouse says, hey, I need to add a new truck onto my policy that I just got. So what we do in all cases, anytime anybody calls in for any reason, our first step once we're in their summary page is to come up here to this little document with the plus note. And if you hover over it, it says add note. We are clicking on that. And right away, you see that this title box is surrounded in red. We cannot click in here and type anything. Instead, we come here to this Pure Potential Chrome extension, which you will download on Chrome, and we click here. It gives us a list of all the different types of service, change, application, communications that could ever happen. So this is a change, and they need to add an auto. So we click on that, and then we see that now this title here is pre-filled with this change add auto title. Why do we do this? We use the Pure Potential plugin because it is important that all of our titles are uniform inside of EasyLinks. It helps us a great deal. It helps you all when you're searching through prior activity and are trying to find something that was done. If all the titles are the same, you know exactly what title you're looking for. It also helps organize us in the case that there ever is an E&O claim and we're having to go back 2 years or whatever it may be. It helps us if all of the titles are uniform. So that's why we use that. Now, here's kind of an extra step. Along with this plugin comes this information that's entered into the note. We don't need that. We make our own notes. So you can simply highlight and delete that. So the note is Minnie needs to add an F-150 truck. And because this is a change, this is going to be a task. So we come down here, this little check mark on the document. If you hover over it, it says add task. We click on that. And we use checklists for all changes. So you see down here where it says add checklist. You can add checklist. You do not have to guess which checklist you add because the checklist will match the title up here. So all we're doing is looking for the checklist that says change add auto. We see it right there. Okay, so now at this point, we've entered in all of the initial information and we hit save. It's important to know that if you ever navigate away from this page and you have not hit save, it's not going to save. It does not auto save. You have to actually hit save. So we hit save. Now it is here. And you can see this little wrench. Now you can just click right back on this. And here's your checklist. This checklist tells you exactly what needs to be done. Quote change through carrier site. So you go, open up another tab, go into their carrier, and you quote the change. They say yes, go ahead and issue it. So now you issue the change and you tell the client everything that happened. Hey, I issued this change and I'm going to send you confirmation soon, and you can hang up with the client. At this point, this is telling you, okay, make sure you upload confirmation to Client Center and make sure you send confirmation to policyholder. You will have another training that shows you how to upload information to Client Center. And then, now that you're all done with this, you entered your initial notes. Minnie needs to add an F-150 truck, but now you leave detailed notes. I'm not going to type them out for the sake of time on this video, but you would type something out like Minnie called in, she bought a new F-150. We're not removing any other vehicles. We're simply adding this one. I verified with her that there's no additional drivers that needed to be added. She said no. I added it with the same coverage as her other vehicles, sent her confirmation. Any other details that you went over would be notated here. Remember, notes, lots of notes, detailed notes. If there's no notes, didn't happen, even if you have the best memory and you swear to us that, yes, I promise I did this, if there's not a note, it did not happen. So leave as many notes as needed. And then at that point, you can see the last checklist, or the last step in the checklist is assign to auditor and set due date 2 business days out. So you've left your notes here, so you can check that box, right? And then you come up here and you delete your name and just start typing auditor. And then for the task due date, 2 business days out. So here we are today, Friday the 14th. We would go 1, 2 business days. So now the 18th. And at that point, we would hit save. What the auditor does is you've processed the change in the carrier. You've done everything. The auditor is basically our backup. They are, 1, making sure that everything you said you did, you actually did, and 2, that it all downloaded and processed correctly in the carrier site and also into EasyLinks. It has happened where for whatever reason it doesn't download, or something happened, or you thought you hit submit on the carrier site and you didn't. And so that's what the auditor does. They're just backing you up to make sure that everything occurred that we thought occurred and that everything was processed correctly. But once you assign to the auditor and hit save, I'm not going to hit save, but once you hit save, you are done with it. You've left your notes, you've processed the change, and now the auditor will just follow up with it in 2 business days to make sure it all processed correctly. So what happens if somebody calls in and they're not requesting a change? Let's just say they call in and they ask a simple question like a billing question. Well, same thing. Anytime a client calls in, we're going to click add note, because again, we leave notes for everything, no matter how big or small it is. So let's just say Minnie calls in and she has a billing question. So we would come up here, service, billing, inquiry. There it is. We delete this. Let's just say Minnie called in and wanted to know how much she needed to pay. So we pull it up on the carrier site, we let her know, and then we leave the note here. Minnie called in, needed to know how much to pay. I told her, she said, okay, she would go online and pay by the end of the day. We hit save. Remember, leave a note every interaction. Even if it's very, very simple and you only have to leave a 2-sentence note, that's okay. We still leave notes. And then what happens is you come in here to activity and you can see, here's the billing inquiry with a note. Minnie called, needed to know how much to pay. I told her the amount and she said she'd pay online before end of day. It's there. So then if she calls in 2 weeks from now and says, hey, my policy canceled, you said it wasn't going to cancel. Well, we told them we have these notes here. Also, here is the task. So now the auditor will go in there and take care of that and make sure that everything downloaded correctly. And then 2 months from now or 2 years from now, when we need to come back in here, we can come in here and see everything that happened in the task and see all of the notes. So that is how our process flows within EasyLinks. Remember, everything starts here with the add note. If it's just a general inquiry, we're just adding notes. If it's a change, we're adding a task and the appropriate checklist that is based off of the title.